So in verses 5 to 7 and 9, we see how Ruth responds. She has a stunning response. First, she submits. She just submits to her mother-in-law's crazy plan. So she says in verses 6 to 7, so she went down to the threshing floor and did just as her mother-in-law had commanded her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain. Then she came softly and uncovered his feet and lay down. Okay, she followed her mother-in-law perfectly. I don't know how many of you would follow your mother-in-law if she told you to do that, but Ruth does. And then she also responds with wisdom. After Boaz wakes up, Ruth has to say something because Boaz wants to know who on earth are you? So in verse 9, I would say Ruth responds with an incredible response. And so listen to what she says. She says, I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer. I want you to notice a few aspects of what she says. First, she calls herself a servant twice. She calls herself a servant because she understands that Boaz is a master. She's a poor servant girl. Boaz is a rich and well-known master. So she's submitting to Boaz. She's humble. As you're going to see, Ruth receives this exalting reward because she is humble. This is what Jesus tells us to do. In Matthew 20:26, he says, but whoever would be great among you must be your servant, and whoever would be first among you must be your slave. Even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. So even Jesus is our example of what a servant should be. And as you're going to see, the tables are going to be turned as Ruth tells Boaz that she is his servant, and Boaz responds as the master who serves Ruth. You'll see that in verse 11, as Boaz says, I will do for you all that you ask. And so you see that Boaz as the master ends up serving Ruth as the servant. Just again, showing us the example of Jesus and how he serves us also as the master. He came not to be served, but to serve you primarily. Look at Ruth's language of redemption here. You see, she recognizes Boaz as her redeemer, meaning he's a kinsman redeemer, which means he's related to her. And so she represents, she's the servant, he's the redeemer. How important is that for us to recognize who we are in relationship to who God is? We're the servant, God is the redeemer, he is the master. And Ruth gets that. It reminds me of what Psalm 103, 4-5 says about redemption and also relating it to the wings of eagles. The wings of eagles and redemption are words that relate in God's Old Testament. And so in Psalm 103, 4-5, it says, bless the Lord. If you're wondering, why should I bless the Lord? This is one of the reasons why. Who redeems your life from the pit. He redeems your life from the pit. Who crowns you with steadfast love and mercy, who satisfies you with good, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. So you can see the wings of eagles and redemption go hand in hand in Scripture. In fact, in I believe it's Exodus 19, following God saving his people out of Egypt, God is pictured as an eagle who has lifted them up with his wings. So the idea here that Ruth understands is that she is in a pit of problems. She needs redeemed from the pit of Psalm 103. And the pit of problems that she is in is extreme poverty and extreme hopelessness of any kind of future. And so she needs Boaz to spread his wings over her, which both signifies marriage and redemptive protection. That too would be an idiom for marriage. And so she's basically saying, I need you, Boaz, to fly me out of the pit of problems that I find myself in. A rope won't cut it. A ladder won't do it. I need you to lift me up. And that is the picture of redemption. What is it that you need bought out of? What kind of debt are you in? Well, all of us are in sin debt without the wings of Jesus as our Redeemer flying us out. Notice, when God redeems, he doesn't just lower a rope. He doesn't just lower a ladder and tell you that you can crawl out or you can army crawl your way up that rope. It doesn't work that way. When God redeems us and saves us, he comes with the wings of eagles to fly us out. Because it takes completely Jesus, completely, with not even an ounce of our strength in order to lift us out of our problems. And not only do those wings function as something that lifts us out of our pit of problems, but they also represent the protection that God protects us with. You'll notice that Ruth says, spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer. Spread your wings for protection. She needs protected. She's a woman with a mother-in-law and no man in her life. She needs protection. If you need protection, your protection, too, must come from only one man, and his name is Jesus, and he's your Redeemer, who will both fly you out of your problems and protect you once you come out of those problems. And I hope that encourages a lot of you, because I know we do have a lot of single women and widows in our church. And the Lord wants to be your Redeemer, and he wants to be the wings that protect you.